A fast food nightmare may be getting worse. A 2-year-old child died today in Seattle, and the killer, tainted meat from Jack in the Box hamburgers.
A nationwide recall today for more than 140 tons of ground beef.
500,000 pounds of ground beef.
Today, nationwide recalls of ConAgra ground beef.
E. coli isn't just in ground beef now. It's been found in spinach, apple juice, and this is really because the runoff from our factory farms.
90 confirmed cases of E. coli poisoning. Central to it all, raw bagged spinach.
This is the 20th E. coli outbreak with leafy greens in just the last decade.
For years during the Bush administration, the chief of staff at the USDA was the former chief lobbyist to the beef industry in Washington. The head of the FDA was the former executive vice president of the National Food Processors Association. These regulatory agencies are being controlled by the very companies that they're supposed to be scrutinizing.
ConAgra, which recently recalled peanut butter contaminated with salmonella, was aware of problems in its plant 2 years ago.
There's always been food poisoning. As more and more technology is being applied to the production of food, you would think it would be getting safer. Not more contaminated, but the processing plants have gotten bigger and bigger. Is just perfect for taking bad pathogens and spreading them far and wide.
The recall of frozen hamburger now includes 22 million pounds.
Enough meat to make a fast food hamburger for every adult in America is being recalled.
In the 1970s, there were literally thousands of slaughterhouses in the United States. And today we have 13 slaughterhouses that process the majority of beef that is sold in the United States. The hamburger of today, it has pieces of thousands of different cattle ground up in that one hamburger patty. The odds increase exponentially that one of those animals was carrying a dangerous pathogen. It's remarkable how toothless our regulatory agencies are when you look closely at it, and that's how the industry wants it.
This is the USDA building up here.
Did Josh say how much time he thought we'd get?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Well, maybe as much as 15. Got to be on time for that meeting. It starts at 4 o'clock. So if I start going like that, or if I start shuffling papers, it's time. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm a registered Republican. I've always been fairly conservative. I never thought I would be doing this, and I certainly never thought I would be working so closely with my mom. We go this way?
Yes.
Okay.
No mistake. I think that's the way we want to go.
My mom and I have, our relationship has taken on a whole new dimension.
24, 21.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm Pat.
Barb Walsh.
After the first big push to establish food standards, people just got complacent. We reduced funding for the FDA. We relied increasingly on self-policing for all of these industries. And now we just have really lost our system.
You're really one of the champions on the Hill for food safety, and it's a very important cause. It's very personal to me and my family. Really, our food safety advocacy work started 6 years ago when my 2.5-year-old son, Kevin, was stricken with E. coli 0157H7 and went from being perfectly healthy, beautiful little boy, and I have a small picture with me today that was taken 2 weeks before he got sick. He went from that to being dead in 12 days. In July 2001, our family took a vacation. Had we known what was in store for us, we would have never gone home. We ended up eating 3 hamburgers before he got sick. We started to see blood in Kevin's diarrhea, so we took him to the emergency room, and they said, we've gotten the culture back from Kevin's stool. and he has hemorrhagic E. coli. They came in and informed us that Kevin's kidneys were starting to fail. Kevin received his first dialysis treatment. He was not allowed to really drink water. We had these little sponges, and we were allowed to dip that into a cup of water and then give him that. And he bit the head off of one of them. You've never seen someone beg. He begged for water. It was all he could talk about. I wouldn't let anybody bring any beverage into the room because it was all he would talk about was water. I don't know if he knew what was happening to him, and I don't know. To watch this beautiful child go from being perfectly healthy to dead in 12 days, it was just unbelievable that this could happen from eating food. What was even kind of adding more insult to injury, it took us almost 2 or 3 years and hiring a private attorney to actually find out that we matched a meat recall. On August 1st, my son was already in the hospital. They did an E. coli test at the plant that was positive. They didn't end up recalling that meat until August 27th, 16 days after he died.
If we have some more hearings, which I'm sure we will, I'd love to have you come and testify. Keep fighting.
Oh, thank you. You too. You never get over the death of your child. You find a new normal.
This way?
Yes.
We're going this way?
We put faith in our government to protect us, and we're not being protected at a most basic level. In 1998, the USDA implemented microbial testing for Salmonella and E. coli 0157H7. The idea was that if a plant repeatedly failed these tests, that the USDA would shut the plant down because they obviously had an ongoing contamination problem. The meat and poultry associations immediately took the USDA to court. The courts basically said the USDA didn't have the authority to shut down the plants. What it meant was that, you could have a pound of meat or poultry products that is a petri dish of salmonella, and the USDA really can't do anything about it. A new law was introduced in direct response, and this law became known as Kevin's Law. It seems like such a clear-cut, common sense type thing.
Everything's going.
Fine.
We've been working for 6 years, and it still hasn't passed.
I sense that there may be an opportunity, an enhanced opportunity to get this signed into law this time. I think from the standpoint of the consumer, a lot of people would support the idea of paying a little more if they could be guaranteed, a higher standard of safety.
Yeah.
But I also know that there are other players, in the food production chain that tend to worry about that because it's going to be seen as an add-on to their costs. And I think the advantage here is...
Sometimes it does feel like industry was more protected than my son. And that's what motivated me to become an advocate. In the past year alone, there have been a multitude of foodborne illness outbreaks which have resulted in significant losses. Clearly, our current approach to food oversight and protection is not meeting the needs of American families. It's really hard for me to tell Kevin's story, but the only way I'm going to be able to prevent it from happening to other people is to go out there and speak about it. Six are elementary school students. One is a sibling, and then there's another one in another county in Kentucky, so. It will be 7 years since my son died. All I wanted the company to do
was say, we're sorry we produced this defective product that killed your child, and this is what we're going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. That's all we wanted. And they couldn't give us that.
The industrial food system is always looking for greater efficiency, but each new step in efficiency leads to problems. If you take feedlot cattle off of their corn diet, give them grass for 5 days, they will shed 80% of the E. coli in their gut. But of course, that's not what the industry does. The industry's approach is, when it has a systematic problem like that, is not to go back and see what's wrong with the system. It's to come up with some high-tech fixes that allow the system to survive.
Andy, 5x5 product search tank, low level.
This is our operations center. We control all of our plants from here. Where's Chicago? Like, here's Chicago, Georgia, Utah, Kansas, Nebraska, Texas, LA, Ohio. We control oil levels of the gearboxes, speed of motors, and we can change those all from here. We built something that, from a food safety standpoint, we think we're ahead of everybody. We think we can lessen the incidence of E. coli 01578. So I just started working with ammonia and ammonia hydroxide. Ammonia kills bacteria. So it became a processing tool. I'm really a mechanic. That's really what I am. We design our own machinery. This is our finished product.
Is your meat in most of the hamburgers in the country?
70%. In 5 years, we think we'll be in 100%. We do have some competitors. I think we're going to beat them. It's a marriage of science and technology.